Welcome to Milo's Mods, ladies and gentlemen. So this is another episode of Blaster Chat. This is about ZWQ. More specifically, the evolution and natural progression of ZWQ. I'm going to be talking about various blasters, various upgrades, various of evolutions of the blaster, because some blasters, they have changed to rework them and such. So let's begin, shall we? And I do apologize because there are some blasters I do not have in my possession from ZWQ, such as I do not have a Gen 1 War Saint, and I don't have a Gen 2 Blaze, or Baze, I'm sorry. Just to make that old Nerf guy happy, I figure I'll try to call it a Baze. Sounds weird, but okay. The first blaster that came out from ZWQ is this guy here. This is a War Saint, okay? The original War Saint had problems, such as the shell was very thin, okay? And it definitely had the performance. It did 300 FPS pretty easily, with just a flick of a wrist, as they say, or a change of the spring, But the shell was very thin, and it would crack and break. Okay, so after the blaster came out, they decided, well, we got to fix that problem. We can't have that. We can't have people spending, because at the time, these blasters cost, like this blaster here was like $150, $160. Okay. So they figured, so ZWQ figured, well, we can't have that. We can't have our customers' toys breaking. So they redesigned the shell. What they do is that they made it out of thick polycarb. Okay, that was the first thing that they did, was that they polycarbed the shell. The other thing that they did was that they messed with some of the internals and made the catch a little bit more robust. They made the catch out of polycarb and stuff like that too. This blaster is actually pretty robust. You really don't even need a metal kit for it, because right now, just with a spring upgrade, this blaster is popping like 280 to 300 pretty consistently. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? So this was the first offering that they came out there, as I said, was the War Saint. The second one that they came out here was this guy here. This is an S200 Fire Rat. Okay, the S200 Fire Rat was their first attempt at a pistol. Okay, and these pistols sold like hotcakes. When these pistols came out, they were $80. Okay, keep these price points in mind. When these pistols came out, they were $80, and they were great pistols. The War Saint shot 150 to 160 out of the box or so, if I remember right. This blaster here shot 110 out of the box, if I remember right. This blaster has been modified since then. It now does about 130. Okay. Now, what they decided to with this blaster and the War Saint was to make metal parts for it. ZWQ always wants to upgrade their parts, upgrade their blasters, so that way their customers feel as though that they've truly gotten their money's worth. Okay. So they started making metal kits for the War Saint, to where you could change out all the internals to have it made out of metal. The same thing with the Fire Rat here. Okay, so ZWQ decided a little bit later that they were going to try another pistol. So they pulled this guy out here. This is an original Gen 1 Viper. Okay, this blaster here shot 100 out of the box. They took what they learned from this blaster here and put it into this one. Okay, they upgraded the internals slightly. They gave it a nicer pull, and the magazines are mostly metal. They're also weighted magazines, so that way they magged up very easily. Now, both of these pistols have what's known as a holdback feature, which is the last round in the chamber. Once you get to last round, the slide just racks back, and you can't prime it forward because it's telling you, hey, there's no dart in the magazine left to chamber. So, a little bit later on, ZWQ decided to upgrade the Viper. Okay, this is a Gen 2 Viper. The main thing about the Gen 2 Viper is that well, there's several things. The way that you can tell a Gen 2 from a Gen 1 just by looking at it is this right here. It's got porting on the slides. Also, the iron sights on the Viper on the original Gen 1, they're just crappy, cheap, molded plastic iron sights into the blaster. These actually have nanofiber sights on it. Okay, so that's the main thing. The other thing about this blaster that's really cool is that this is worker thread in it for the barrel. The barreling system is basically worker thread, so that means you could take like the smallest Harrier barrel you've got and you'll slide it in here. Granted, it'll give you a little bit of a performance upgrade, maybe. You know, I haven't done that yet just because I feel as though the blaster is pretty much perfect as is. The blaster does about 130 or so. It's a very nice secondary to carry. Remember, when you're carrying a secondary, if it's a Springer, you don't want it to have a manly prime to it because then your arms can be tired before you even rack out through the first mag. And that's just my thoughts on that. But what they did was that they took all the parts that they've learned from the Viper and the original Fire Rat and they upgraded it to this. This blaster you can also get metal parts for as well, from like M416. All these blasters here that I'm talking about, you can get metal upgrade parts from M416 gel blaster. Now, the last one that they came out with was this guy here, the S100 Blase. Okay, or Baze or Blaze or whatever it is you want to call it. Okay, ZWQ's numbering is very specific, such as the War Saint is the S100, the Fire Rat is the S200, the Viper is the S200S. Okay, this blaster here is the S100S. Okay, this was the last offering that ZWQ has put out. What this is that this is a side prime blaster, basically pseudo bolt action, if you will. That's a nice way of saying it. This blaster here has a threaded dart gate in it as well for worker thread. Okay, the main difference is between this blaster here and the original Gen 1 Blaze was the addition of a threaded dart gate, and they also simplified the hardware. All of these blasters that ZWQ came out with, they actually simplified the hardware. Like, for example, this right here is a ZWQ barrel from the original S100S Blaze. Okay, my original orange one I sent out to my Andrews Jake, I actually gave him a threaded dart gate for worker thread. For that blaster, I was shipped an extra one from ZWQ, which is great, so I figured I'd pass the love on to him. But this was the original design for the original Baze. When they upgraded the Baze and they changed it, they made it so you could use worker Harrier barrels. The blaster comes with a 450 worker Harrier barrel in it. Well, it says ZWQ on it, but we all know if it's got worker thread, it's a worker style barrel. That's the best way of saying it. Now, some of you people say, well, these blasters are cool and all that, but they take proprietary magazines. Yeah, they do. Here's the solution. This is a magazine adapter. With this adapter, the War Saint and the Baze here will take Talon. No problems, no questions asked, no nothing. You know, and that's all you need for that. Now, some of the other things that ZWQ has started doing is that I've noticed with their last couple offerings, they're starting to sell darts. Now, these are other darts I've seen in the community by other people, and they go by a bunch of different names, but in the invoice I got from the Airsoft Megastore, these say ZWQ darts. So a box of 200 of these, keep this in mind, is only $15, and these are triple ring bamboos. Now, I've been independently testing these darts, and they're pretty promising, especially for the price point. I mean, I'm actually pretty impressed with them. The other things that I've noticed about ZWQ is that their products are getting cheaper. Such as when this blaster came out, it was $180. The War Saint was 150. The Fire Rats and the Vipers, they were about $80 a piece or so, give or take. Now, with the addition of the sellers on Amazon and Airsoft Megastore and the other places that I've seen on Amazon, because I've seen a couple different listings, you can buy this blaster here, the War Saint, for about $80 to $100. Okay, just depending on what site on Amazon you go to. Okay, that's if you want to deal with Amazon exclusively. If you live in the United States, you can order from a place called the Airsoft Megastore. Okay, because the Airsoft Megastore is actually they have a web store on Amazon. It's called like Golden Bull something, but that's neither here nor there. You know, you can order these blasters on there as well. Now these blasters are down to $80 a piece for a base, $80 for a War Saint. Even the Vipers and Fire Rats have gotten cheaper, such as you can get a Viper or a Fire Rat, you know, depending on which one you want, for anywhere between $40 and $60, depending on where you see them at on Amazon. Airsoft Megastore also sells these too. And they're selling the Gen 2 versions of these blasters, which is the most updated version. It would be the version you want. Excuse me. But as I was saying, no, the thing is, this company is constantly evolving. Okay, they're changing out their hardware. They're finding platforms that they like, and they're sticking with it. Me personally, I'd like to see them do like an AEG or something like that, you know, because that would be kind of cool, you know, because then they could sit there and take their time and perfect it, you know, not just cookie cutter blaster like some companies do every 6 or 7 months, you know, they'll just release something new, you know. So I believe that ZWQ is going to be around for a long time, just simply because, one, the blasters have gotten cheaper. Two, they've been updating the internals and making them more relevant now than they were. They've also been improving the situation with their distribution of metal products, because you can get metal products now pretty easily at like M416. You know, you can buy entire metal kits for the Viper, the Fire Rat, the War Saint, or the Base. You know, you just have to go there and do some looking. You know, and these darts here, this is just another step in the right direction. I've tested these so far up to about 400, and they're doing pretty well. I've gone through maybe 5 or 6 bad darts out of a pack of 200, which isn't bad at all. You know, but as I said, though, it's just ZWQ evolving and stepping up their game, and they're doing it very quietly. Well, in any event, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. And until next time, this is Miller's Mods signing off.